So just a bit of our background. We're actually Interactive is a Singapore-based company, and we have worked on a lot of projects in the past, but we've recognized over the last 4 to 5 years that there is a cross-section occurring between digital and traditional TV. And we were involved with some high-profile TV shows, as well as driving internet-only activations for some of the world's top brands. And what we were starting to see is that the value proposition for us, value proposition means money, in the digital space was starting to grow. So what I want to do is talk to you guys about how we've seen that over the last 5 to 6 years. And we've actually put an idea together in terms of a framework of how we put content together. Another fun thing we do, and this is for the people that are that might not enjoy my talk, is we play around with a lot of cool things, and this is an app that we've put together. So for any of you in the crowd that would ever wondered what you look like in a turban, there's an app for that. It's called the Turbanizer, also created here in Singapore. So let's just cue the first video.
Walking down the sidewalk, kicking my feet as I'm moving to the music. Step to the beat, I woke up today, canceled all my plans, and I stepped right outside with my guitar in my hands, and the notes became loud as I sound caressed the air, and I kicked it up a notch as I strolled without a care, 'cause I'm going down the road to a brand new place, and I'll get there with a smile on my face. Yeah, so lift me up, I'm moving on, singing and dancing while I play my song. Yeah, I'm having a good time, keeping it going. Come on, clap your hands and won't you sing along, and now let's take it up high. Give our dreams their wings to fly. Gotta keep the fire, keep the fire burning, keep the hope alive. You gotta keep it turning. Feel the music from your head to your toes to your shoes. Kick 'em off and take a deep breath and shake off the blues. This is a brand new day that you can pave the way, because everything is possible. Shout and say, hey, hey, I gotta go and on and keep it pushing up, and I'll march and move along, and good things all around now that I can see, and they said it wouldn't happen to me. Yeah, yeah, so take your hands, throw 'em up, you put 'em up high, clap it up and dance it out till you're ready to fly.
Interesting point about this product. This is an idea that we formulated here in Singapore. We put together, we hired a Malaysian Chinese designer to design those turbans. We've launched it. We are closing in on 500,000 downloads worldwide. Our biggest markets are not Singapore. It's not even India, which is what you'd think. It's actually the UK, Philippines. Don't know why. I've asked a lot of Filipinos why they like it. They haven't explained why. But the thing is we launched it, and we've taken a very digital approach. And I think this is something that, from a content creation perspective, is very, very important. And the difference between internet startups and the typical traditional TV content creators is the internet startup guys have a minimal viable product. They'll throw something to the market, iterate, until they get to something that will ultimately generate them enough revenue to keep the business afloat. So as much as Turbanizer is a free app, and I encourage you to download it. Just give me a 5-star rating, please. It actually makes money, right? And it's profitable for us as a business. But let me jump into some of the key points here. Our business we're a digital business, and our reason for being is we look for disruption opportunities. And although, I would agree with Alexis that, reality is here and it's a genre, but there is an opportunity for disruption. So the first point I want to make is that digital isn't coming. It's already here. There's a lot of people, a lot of talk. I've hung out at MIP in Cannes and spoke to a lot of people, and they're all saying digital is coming. We got to do something. The reality is it's already here. So what does that mean? What does that mean for content creators and just the environment in general, including the broadcasters? It means that the cost of distribution is going to zero, okay? So if the cost of distribution is going to zero, it also implies a couple of things. Costly things like having bandwidth is going next to zero. So The second screen is becoming the first screen. You go to a lot of the markets, especially here in Southeast Asia and in Asia in general, and people are consuming content on their mobile phone before anything else. The other thing is that brands inherently are going to become broadcasters, okay? So you look at a brand like Unilever that normally drops, hundreds, tens of millions of dollars every year, buying formats and paying broadcasters a lot of money to air these shows. They'll eventually just do it themselves. What's stopping Unilever from launching the next Idol show on their own IPTV channel and distributing it everywhere? Because you guys don't really care. You would actually rather that show is delivered to your personal device on your iPad, iPhone, Android, etc. And that's a very, very important point. So the result of that is that the broadcasters, the content owners, and the media agencies who are used to just selling spot buys and billboards are going to need to innovate, or unfortunately they will die. That's a very, very powerful thing that we realized when we were going into the marketplace. We saw huge inefficiencies. So our approach was we want to take a different approach in generating revenue, and we actually tried it out. In 2009, we came up with a concept, and we felt that we could develop a revenue strategy that is far different from the typical process. And we incubated it here. So there's a relevancy to the local producers. And if you guys have been to some of the other sessions, there's a lot of statistics around a format. So we launched the Angel's Gate. And typically it takes 3 to 4 seasons before a format actually makes money. We were able to generate a profit in our first season. And we were able to generate that profit here in Singapore, okay? So I'm gonna tell you all about it. I might not see you again. If it works well, maybe you can buy me a lunch someday or hire my son. He's 2 years old. He's the guy in that turbinizer video. He'll need a job soon because school's expensive. But let me play that video. Let's play the new trailer that we just launched. Just before we get into that, we have a really big announcement we are going to be making about Angel's Gate. I promised my distributor, Bowman Bridge, that I would not say it here because she really wanted to be a part of it. But we have a huge announcement that you guys will be hearing about in the news about Angel's Gate. So let's cue the new trailer that we are launching for our season 2.
Today's global economy is getting more and more volatile.
The protests in Europe reflect the impact and pain
Everyone
of austerity
fears for
measures
financial security.
around the world.
But who will turn things around? Time to take matters into our own hands. Enter the Angel's Gate, Asia's first 360-degree transmedia platform that gives entrepreneurs a lifetime opportunity to pitch their business ideas to the Angel's Gate community. The $1 Million Fund and the crowd.
Anyone who has an idea, teenagers, housewives to business executives, everyone gets their chance of a lifetime.
See great business ideas come to life and create a stream of conversations in the online community. But first, one must get past the gatekeepers with an impressive elevator pitch. The result?
Anyway, welcome to Angel's Gate.
A one-way ticket to the top or to the end of the line.
You locked me somewhere. I'm sorry, Ben. I don't feel it. No chance.
If you make it through the gates, take your best shot and give the pitch of a lifetime. How far can you hold out?
Would you invest in something like that?
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
How much are you willing to give?
We have a deal? No. Okay?
No. To clinch that perfect business deal. Angel's Gate extends its reach beyond mainstream TV through a unique first-of-its-kind 360-degree experience, giving the audience a chance to be a game changer. With the Angel Investment Fund within reach, the business idea will be tested through several challenges that viewers can follow and participate in live and online. The audience can support entrepreneurs they believe in by taking part in crowdfunding and crowdsourcing activities online with a complete transmedia integration and an immersive second screen experience, turn passive audience into active drivers of the Angels Gate show and sponsors. In an era of shifting powers, can one entrepreneur mobilize the crowd, meet the challenge of today's economy, and stand the true test of redefined business success? Put your ideas to the test and change the course of history. Enter the Angel's Gate.
So about the show, it's a transmedia platform. We built it with digital as the center. You know, when I came up with the concept, I'm not a famous TV producer. I don't have all the credentials. So it took me 18 months. I pitched the concept 300 times. So if you guys are actually looking to create content, you just got to put some hours in pitching. But you know, over you know, the first 50 to 100 pitches, I started to kind of figure out where I could tweak my idea. And the net result was we generated over $1.2 million of sponsorship from Fortune 500 brands. So we focused on just the top names, and I'll share some of them with you shortly. But it was a process. You know, we started the concept in 2009. We had to percolate it. The MDA was very supportive. They were one of the first people to come to the table and said, "Hey, let's give it a shot." We launched our successful pilot last year, and we even offered over $1.5 million to entrepreneurs on the show. Right? So that whole element of high stakes was quite strong. And now we are going into our season 2 as well as international distribution, which will be again announced within the next couple of days. This is some of the details of what we were able to do. Okay, so this is a unique concept. We were the first local partner for YouTube, and when I was putting this together, for me it was, I actually went to YouTube first. They were my first broadcaster. So we were the first local content partner, and we were able to generate over 2 million views of content for our show, which makes us probably the #1 producer in Singapore, and very competitive in the region. The other interesting thing, we launched on Channel News Asia, locally as well as internationally, to 30 million homes, and we were able to drive pretty good results for our premiere, and found all sorts of data that really helped us evolve our product. These were some of the brands that decided to come on board. And one of the key things for me was I wanted to ensure that we had innovative brands, because when you're coming up with a new concept, it's just a name, but it makes it a lot easier when you have you know, big brands that are coming to support you, that are driving your innovative thought process to really make it happen. So we took less money from Audi than we did from Mercedes, because we thought Audi was a more aspirational product. The other interesting thing for us, and when you're talking about creating content, it's all about the story. One of the things I'm very, very proud of is we actually generated a success from our product. So on episode 8, John Farron, who has a company that's similar to Dropbox, he was the last entrepreneur on the show, but after the show aired, we gave him, I think, $250,000 at a $1 million valuation. His user base grew from 15,000 to 1 million, and his valuation of his company basically skyrocketed, and is valued at almost 20 times the amount that was invested on the show. So we're really happy about that, because we're also making a difference. We're making a difference in our community as well. And that's part of that whole encompassing process that we went through in terms of building our content. We really wanted to make a difference. The other thing we were able to do, we actually made a profit. So we actually went to the marketplace, and Capital Land wanted to sponsor the show. And we had made a profit, so we said, instead of giving us money, why don't we do a campaign together where if anyone likes an idea on our website, you donate $1 to a children's charity. And they were kind of stumped at first, because, you know, they're probably used to guys saying, please give me money, as much money as possible. But we ran the campaign and it worked really well. We donated over $40,000 to 4 children's charities here in Singapore. So the key element for us is looking at the experience. We recognize now that, yeah, the iPad or your smartphone is part of your process, but how can you actually develop that as part of your story? So I'm jumping into a bit of the story development now. So when we were playing around with it, and we still haven't cracked the code. We still haven't cracked the code, but we've been working on it for quite some time, and we think we're going to be the guys that can really make that impact. But these are some of the things that we thought about in terms of how that experience happens. And we actually experimented when we're sitting in front of the content and really trying to work it and seeing how it actually works. And our concept is around entrepreneurship. It's about, you know, getting people to realize their dreams of being a business person. And these are some of the things that we were thinking about in our second screen experience. And I mean, I won't jump into this because I think Alexis covered it much better than I did. These are the key things that we were thinking about from a TV side. So having big characters, well-known characters that are known for their entrepreneurial prowess, unique access, finding out how they work and how do rich people negotiate deals, high stakes. We offered over $500,000 on the show, and then resolution, getting people an opportunity to see whether they got the money or not and how their life changed thereafter. Now, a lot of people ask me, there are similar shows, right? I've heard about this show or that show, et cetera, et cetera. So what we've done is we've looked at it differently. Again, from a digital perspective, we were emphasizing the stuff that would really drive engagement online and then work the story arcs accordingly. And this is how we actually put our process together. Usually when you're looking at a piece of content, the green area where you see the TV is usually how it's structured. You know, I have 12 eps, and then I have a finale, et cetera, et cetera. But what we had to do was we looked at the online piece and then the mobile piece. And what's the difference? The online stuff is when you're actually maybe sitting in front of your computer or your iPad. The mobile piece is when you're on the train. So what we were doing when we were looking at our content piece, we're like, okay, imagine if there was a fan of the show and they were on their way to the on the MRT in Singapore. How could they react to our content, right? And then when they go to their desk, when they should be working, if they were with our content, how could they, you know, evolve and participate with our product? And then our user journey. So typically a TV journey starts and ends with you have your trailers on TV that promote the show. Then you have the show itself, and then maybe a big finale that they heavily promote as well. But we looked at it differently. We looked at it from a user-centric perspective. That was a key element for us. Let's look at the users. Let's create an environment where users have a very low barrier to entry to participate with us and allow us to engage and have that relationship with our audience and with our participants. So it starts online where you can submit your idea on the Angels Gate website. And we did a little bit of research, and when people come up with an idea, the first thing they want to do is get a .com and an email address, because that kind of equates being in business, which is quite strange, but it's actually quite factual. So we got a company to come and sponsor free .com domain names, and Google agreed to have all their apps on our platform. So you go through the process, you submit your idea, you build your idea with our brand's projects, our brand sponsors' products, and then you generate buzz. You get your LinkedIn connections, your Facebook friends, your Twitter followers to help vote your idea to the top. And that is creating our own buzz, right? This is outside all the stuff, the great work that MediaCorp did for promoting the show. So when the ideas come to the show, that's when you kind of get into the story itself. So the elevator pitch, backstory, pitch, challenges, and decision, that's part of our format, right? And that's what you see on TV. But we've built out this whole piece in the front end that really drives the engagement. So I'm in the startup space. I spend a lot of time with business schools and talking about how to pitch. Our show is about how to pitch. And one thing I preach is that you should have your business, your one-line pitch, all done. But what I've been able to do is I put all my thoughts together over the last 3 years in a diagram. And This diagram has been registered at a business school, and there's a case study being written about it at the Richard Ivey School of Business. So if any of you guys are going to go to Harvard or INSEAD or any of the top schools, you might actually see this there. It's called Ash's Wheel. But basically, I want to walk you guys through my concept. Hopefully you guys can see it. I had to adjust it for you guys to see it on screen today. But this is how we came across our approach to looking at a user base. And the fundamental difference between what we are doing and what you'll typically see from a format owner is that if somebody has a piece of IP, the IP is usually at the center of their universe. So if you talk to some of the top format owners like Shine, they'll say, okay, our IP is at the center of our universe, and everything is built around that. There's nothing wrong with that. I think for them and their business, that's fantastic, and it works, and they're making money. But what we tried to do was we tried to keep the customer, right, the audience, at the center of our business. And we built a very customer-centric, audience-centric platform. So let me try to walk you guys through it. I know it's a little bit complicated and I see all the flashes going off, so let me try to explain it so you guys can interpret it a little bit better later. So this is the wheel. It's a little colorful here. How it works is I've put funnels together. It's kind of like an onion. It kind of peels its way down. So you start off with passive viewers, okay? So passive viewers are people that might hear about the show. We think we can touch 100 million of them, and our goal is to pique their interest in entrepreneurship. That's the goal. Just to kind of get them, okay, what's going on here? So if they see a billboard through all our PR activity, so if they see a billboard or they see a video in an elevator or maybe catch a commercial at a hospital or something like that. And what we've done here is we've created a success metric. The first success metric is impressions. So unlike a lot of non-digital platforms, for us, success metrics and KPIs are very, very important because you need to have a base for you to work off of and thereby improve your process. The next group is what we call armchair investors and entrepreneurs. These are people that will actually tune into the show, watch the whole show, but do nothing. If you guys watched, you might have heard of the show called The Biggest Loser. With Biggest Loser, there's a lot of people that will watch the whole show, cry because they feel bad for the person while drinking pop and eating chips, right? Okay, so those armchair people are also part of our platform, and we think half these people, right, would be that. And our goal, again, our intent for this communication, and we have targeted communication for each one of these groups, is to inspire them. Inspire them about startups so that they can move to the next round. And our 360 TV show does that. And again, success metric is views. We want views of our content. The next group is what we call founders. Now, a founder is somebody that watches the show, gets inspired, and thinks he or she's got the next big idea. So they go on the website and they register, and that's it, okay? So the Biggest Loser example is the person that watches the show, wants to lose weight, goes to Fitness First, signs up, but never goes back to the gym again, okay? So I think there's some in the crowd. The people that are laughing are probably I'm guilty of it too, by the way. So we think it's 1%. It's actually a 1% play, and this is typical internet numbers that we usually work with. And our goal is for them to start their idea on our platform, right? Get involved, start your idea on our platform, engage with the brands that we have brought to the table that are going to help you build your business, and we have a crowdsourcing platform that we've built to make it happen. Our success metric is registered users. Right? So that's moving up the value chain. The next group is investors. This is another demographic of people that are watching the content. These are the people, and I use Singapore as an example. Instead of plunking your money into a condominium, why don't take a punt and invest in a startup, right? So those people that are watching the show that are probably a little bit older, that have a little bit of savings, we want them to come on our platform, and we think we can get around 10,000 of them to fund ideas on our crowdfunding platform. The last group is right here, is what we call entrepreneurs. which is different from the founders. And these are people that will go on the platform, fill out the whole website, get all their friends on board to vote for them, and actually get their idea off the ground. Okay? So from the Biggest Loser example, it's the guy that actually goes back to the gym and actually loses a bit of weight. Okay? And again, it's a very, very small number. Okay? It's a very, very small number, but we want to grow them and educate them and drive all these elements to really, provide value for them, because if we can change their lives and provide that value, they're going to be brand ambassadors for us. And on top of that, that will help with our story on our show, right? So driving that engagement and really, really making a difference. So the next question people ask me, they're like, Ash, you're not a TV guy, and you're not really an advertising guy, and you're not that good looking. So how did you get all these brands to sponsor you, right? And the simple answer to that is what we have here. It's called value to brand. Now, the innovative brands of today are not buying the standard stuff that you see on TV. They're not even interested anymore, okay? And what we decided to do was, when we are looking at a piece of content, we have this value to brand. So at each level, and I'll give you an example. On our show, we had Audi sponsor our show. Audi asked us to integrate the Audi A8L, okay? So it's the very big Audi, the one that's got a yacht base to, change shifts and stuff like that. It's the big one, right? And the reason why they wanted to have it on the show was because they said that in Asia, most business people are the Rolex-wearing, Mercedes-driving person, and they wanted to, have a statement to that. So we had the eldest gentleman who was part of our Angels group, Singh, drive that car, and in the intro you see him coming out of that car. Okay, and what we did was we said, okay, let's start promoting association with the car in our platform. Let's start a conversation, right, within our platform. Let's identify an opportunity with the content, take action. So go to the demographic that's on our platform and say, hey, would you be interested for a test drive? And the test drive might not be for the A8L, because in Singapore it's a pretty expensive car, but drive that and then reinforce action, right? So reinforce that action and then drive the uptake. And that's what seemed to work. So we drove that process and drove it with Audi and some of the other top brands that were mentioned that you saw on the slides. So how that's relevant to turbinizer, let me see if I can squeeze this in and make it relevant. From an association, you guys might have seen the posters and the magazines outside with me and my nice blue turban, and it probably piqued your curiosity. When you guys came in here, I talked about it, then I showed you the video, and then I kind of reinforced the action. And if anyone downloads the app and asks a question today, I'll give you a free t-shirt, okay? So an Angels Gate t-shirt, not a Turbinizer one, so you're just getting this one. So that's how we work. We're always looking at that continual engagement, and it comes from a very, very basic premise. If you guys know the movie industry. You know that you have to market to a person 6 to 7 times before they actually go and engage with content and decide to watch the movie, right? Now, one would argue word of mouth is also there, right? So word of mouth helps that and helps those numbers drop, but that's what we are trying to do with our content. And that's how we are applying the 360 piece to our content and driving it forward. The last piece is the stakeholders. These are the people that we drive in terms of our platform. So we had a great group of media partners, Media Corp and YouTube. That's us, Interactive SG. We had PayPal sponsor the show as well as create our crowdfunding platform. And then we have events and loyalty companies that are coming on board and helping us drive our product and drive revenues. And last but not least is our revenue piece itself, okay? So again, it comes down to the point. Typically, you guys are going to broadcasters asking for commissioning budget. In Singapore, we're lucky we have a great support from the MDA that helps you kick off your ideas, but it's only going to get you so far, right? No one's going to, and the numbers are getting smaller and smaller. So what do we do here? We look at our revenue. We have our media partners. We have our 360 TV sponsors. We have e-commerce on our platform. We have an affiliate program. We've built all that out. We get commissions from the crowdfunding activation. It's a very small percentage, but does drive revenue. And the subscription base. So people coming on our platform and subscribing to improve their business model, our entrepreneur's card, and really digging very deep. And the interesting point about it is that as you go towards from yellow to purple, the amount of revenue we are making on a per user basis, it grows exponentially, right? So we're, at the purple is where we really work with them, we really try to change their lives, and they don't mind paying because they think, hey, what's $300-400 if this guy's gonna help me build $1 million business, right? So that's how we've worked the angles out, and it seems to be working, right? It's worked for us in season 1, and now we are gonna export it and grow this. So that's our model. That's how we've put it together. Again, it's been 3 years of work, and we're quite excited with the stuff to come in the future. With that, that ends my presentation. If there's any questions, allow me to now open the floor for some feedback and stuff. Right there.
Thanks for that presentation. Just a quick question for you. Are you able to compare and contrast engagement of your viewers through your digital mediums versus the television medium and what that looks like?
Yeah.
And an extension to that, what are the conversion statistics around digital to commerce and television to commerce?
So the first question is kind of demographics. The interesting thing for us from a platform was we launched it with YouTube and Channel News Asia. The interesting thing for us when we were launching it is it was commercial free and high definition on YouTube. So we actually saw a lot of our demographic move from the traditional TV channel to YouTube when they found that out. And it was interesting too because the people that I thought would be watching that, the traditional TV, the people that are maybe above 50 years old, they were saying, hey, I'm just catching it on YouTube, right? The next question about conversions. Conversions are actually very low, very low at the moment. And the reason for that is we are building our pipeline. So what we do is we look at the metrics, we have like maybe 0.5%, 1%, 2%. But the angle that we're playing is that we are identifying the different types of users in our value chain. And what we're realizing is that if you look at a specific demographic, the conversions are actually quite high. And what we need to do is kind of open up and look at female entrepreneurs that are housewives that are coming back into the industry and build our content stream around that. And then we will get the conversions we're looking for. Right now we're getting a lot for, you know, those tech startups, because they just love it. It's just like free flowing. But we have to continue to develop that. And it's a very good question because people have to get really down into the nitty gritty and develop your content for your various audiences and segments. There's a question over there.
It's quite a complex sponsorship sell. It's a very sophisticated sponsorship sell.
Yeah.
So how did you go about pitching it? Who did you pitch it to in terms of department or job title or whatever? And how was it received?
It's a very good question, it is a complex sell. My deck was around 30, 40 slides. I pitched it 300 times. My iPad died, like stopped working after I think like 290 something. It is a very complex sell, but the angles that we were taking is that we feel that we have a very engaging content piece. We felt that we had a very innovative integration strategy, and we also felt that we were making a difference. And I think you know, the topic of what we are trying to do and the change that we're trying to make is compelling enough for brands to at least kind of think about it. But it wasn't as rosy as I'm describing it, because for the first, if it's 18 months, the first you know, first 6 months, it was all slam door, slam door, slam door, okay? The media agencies didn't even talk to me, okay? So I'd have tons of I met with all the agencies, right? So I would go to the, so I went to the agencies, and I sit there, and they have a team of 12 people sitting around, and I remember one, it was awesome because I gave my presentation, and they gave me an applause at the end, right? So I was telling my partner, I was like, that was the best meeting ever. We don't have to worry about sponsorship, right? But, and they all took diligent notes, right? I was like, okay, this is great. And long story short, they never called me again, right? So I had my heartbreaks, and the thing is from a personal experience, I know what it's like to ask, I had trouble getting girlfriends when I was young, so I'm used to kind of getting the door slammed on me, so I just kept at it, And the interesting thing for me was, so my breakthrough, let me talk to you about my breakthrough. When I was trying to sell, I needed to make sure that the brands felt that I was really engaged in their product as well, right? So I myself had to be a fan of it. So the first big win that I had was BlackBerry was having this developers conference in Bali. And I'm Canadian as well, and I was a fan of BlackBerry, it's a Canadian company. I went down to the developers conference, and I was by far the least technically kind of affluent person there, right? I'm the farthest thing from a developer. And, but got an opportunity, a split second, I got like maybe 10 minutes over a brief lunch to talk to the managing director. And it was just one spark. He said, okay, you know what? I don't know it all, but you seem like you have the passion and the energy, and let's talk further. Let's move this forward. And then BlackBerry came on board, PayPal came on board, and then the cycle just kind of opened up, because when they were looking at it, they're like, okay, these guys have committed, MDA's given their support, and Ash seems like a guy that he's going to see it through, right? So then it just kind of picked up, and then it got a lot easier. But you kind of need the brand guys, you need the MDA support, all these guys to kind of come into your content, and then it'll start to pick up. So you got to create that kind of snowball effect in the content, in your sales strategy. And it's not easy, and you will get your door, it's tough here. Now the good thing is, after our season 1 launched, Barry Couples, who's the group CEO of Omnicom, was in his canteen at his office, and he saw the show, and he thought the show was good, and he was tickled by the fact that there were all these people wearing white suits, right? So he told one of his guys, he's like, I want to meet the guy who made this show, right? So I got called into his office, and and I thought it was like one of those things again where he'd ask me for all my information, how I did it. But the net result is that we are actually being represented now from the media agencies. So they're starting to get it, right? But I think what happens is you have to kind of put yourself out there. You have to have that track record, and really make something happen. So we're being represented now, and even internationally, we have international distributors, and it's picked up now. But yeah, the first 2-3 years was not that rosy. Yeah. Any other questions? Right here.
So this show, that's going to be very local. Do you have any international experience on that?
Sorry?
And my second question is, do you have any 360 TV international experience?
Okay. Sorry, can you say the first question again?
So this kind of show, that's very local. That's very local for...
Very local. Yeah, very local. Okay, got it. Yeah.
And what about international distribution or experience on that?
Okay. So the format in itself, we had people from over 20 different countries come and participate here in Singapore. Singapore is an interesting place because it's a very small country, but you get all types of people coming. We have a very high tech penetration and stuff like that. So there's a lot of good things going for us here, but in our season 1, we wanted a regional platform, right? So we chose to work with a regional broadcaster, and we also worked with YouTube to drive regional and international exposure in terms of the media that they were giving us for our show. So we very much tried to keep it as international as possible in our first season. Now, to your point for our second season and international distribution, what we are doing now is we are localizing the format for different markets. So the European markets and some of the announcements we're going to make, they're actually going to be producing the content locally specifically for their countries. So it's going to be less of an international regional play. It'll be localized for their markets with, Italian judges, Italian contestants, and stuff like that, and creating a very local play to that. Right? So that's our goal in terms of international distribution. And we've gone through that experience with getting our format Bible together and all that stuff, and the stuff that was shared earlier was fantastic because it's exactly what you need to do when you're distributing internationally. All right, last question over there.
Hi Ash, could you share a little bit about how you strategize for your crowdfunding and crowdsourcing? Maybe share a little bit about that. Thank you.
So, in terms of our platform itself, one of the key differentiators from a typical entrepreneur show is this idea of crowdsourcing and crowdfunding. And we saw the power of the crowd with a lot of the other products that we've produced in the past. So we've actually gone out and we've built this crowdsourcing platform where you can go in, and if you don't have money to crowdfund, you can actually volunteer your time. Right? So it's the idea that if you're a lawyer and you like this person's idea, you can volunteer 5 hours of legal time. And so we've put it together, we've launched it. We've had some success with our crowdfunding. And what we're noticing though is that the idea of crowdsourcing and crowdfunding is very localized in different markets. So we see stuff happening in our Southeast Asia segments. We see different levels of it happening. The other challenge that we've had from a crowdfunding perspective is compliance. Because it's such a new idea, we spent a lot of time, almost an exorbitant amount of time, trying to educate a lot of our stakeholders about what it was, and then making sure that we had the right legal compliance. So we've been building that up now. You'll see a lot of new stuff in season 2. And so that's another thing that you do. When you're in tech and you're trying to get like a new concept off the ground, you sometimes automatically assume that people know what the word API means. But a lot of people don't, right? A lot of people, I had a conversation where I had to spell crowdfunding on the phone to a stakeholder because they'd never heard of it. So these are challenges that you face, but you know what? It's greenfield right now. So if you guys are creating your content and you go towards educating the market, it also means that you have a bit of a first mover advantage. So we've developed that. With our crowdfunding platform, for instance, we've been working with PayPal for almost 2 years now. So we have an up, and we think that that's even a barrier to entry from a format perspective. Because for a typical TV content creator to create it, you have to go through that whole process and make it happen. I have 1 more minute. Is there one last question that I can run through? Okay. So with that, let me conclude. Again, thank you guys for coming. Hopefully there was some insightful, and look forward to seeing some of you guys here at the conference as well as at MIP in the coming months. And please tune into the show. Thank you very much. Have a good day.